The Rockingham Speedway, located 80 miles east of Charlotte, North Carolina, brings the Mission Barbecue Cup Series back onto the East Coast for race number 5 of 2025. Hello out there, we're on the air, and it's race day today at The Rock. It's a beautiful afternoon in Rockingham, North Carolina, as we get set for today's NR2003 Mission Barbecue Cup Series race, the SRI Performance 400 from the Rockingham Speedway. Welcome everybody to today's NBCS coverage on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright for the NASRN, and we're back on the Eastern Seaboard for the first time in nearly a month's time, closing the book on the NBCS's West Coast swing for 2025. 4 races are down with 4 different winners at 4 different tracks, and quickly recapping last week's race in Vancouver, Washington, Rogel took home the checkered flag in dominating fashion in the 27 Ford in the AutoZone 500 at the Vancouver International Speedway, but we're here in Rockingham, North Carolina for race 5, and like we see in Drafty Car, the first 4 weeks have been completed, which means it's time to take a look at the point standings. For the first time in the 2025 season, taking a look at your points on your screen now, Carson Miller leads the way, the rookie in the number 8 machine, with a 66-point lead over Dylan Matthews after 4 races have been completed. Angel Gutierrez and Riley Sampson round out the top 4, and Rogel with that big win concludes your top 5, rising 12 positions after his dominating win in the AutoZone 500. Esteban Lasser, Matt Wolf, Mitchell Collins, Igor Barreto, and Corey Case round out the top 10 right now. Case 215 points behind Carson Miller. See a lot of oblong numbers that are not ending in a 5 or a 0, and that is because that includes the stage points in these point standings as well. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of the season which drivers end up with the most stage wins and the most stage points, and how that factors going into the championship. But if the chase for the championship did start today, those 10 drivers would be locked into the chase. And right now, Roberto Crown Jr., Dano Georgi, is the only driver outside of the top 10 that has a win, so Georgi would be the first wildcard driver, and Braden Perez, who sits 11th in the points after a good run at Vancouver, would be the 12th driver in. But again, it is only mid-March. The chase starts all the way over at the end of August, so still plenty of time for things to happen here in the NBCS 2025 campaign. But this is the 4th time the Mission Barbecue Cup Series has visited the Rockingham Speedway in series history, and with its aggressive banking and rough surface, it's a track that tends to favor veterans over rookies, as well as Chevrolets. The Bowties have all 3 wins at the Rock in series history, but with all the manufacturer parity we've seen so far in this young season, it seems that none of the 4 makes have any ledge over one another going into all of these races. Campbell Marsh starts at the front in a Dodge, and a Ford is on the front row with Charlie Davenport. In fact, the highest starting Chevrolet, the 16 of Danny Fallington, in the 5th spot. We'll get into the rest of the starting lineup in just a couple of moments, but without further ado, it's that time in the broadcast once again, which means it's go time in Rockingham. Let's head down trackside to get the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the SRI Performance 400.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines roar to life on the pit lane at Rockingham, and 42 machines are ready for 80 laps of short track action this afternoon. Campbell Marsh and Charlie Davenport make up row number 1 for the SRI Performance 400. It's Marsh's 2nd pole of the season. He'll lead the field to green in that Stanley. Number 31, Alexander Rowe and Dylan Matthews make up row number 2. Danny Fallington and Matthew Huber in the 23 car complete the top 6 to make up row number 3. There's a look at the 8 of Carson Miller, your points leader going into today's race, an 80-lap race. At the Rockingham Speedway, stages at laps 25 and 50. The window opens up at lap 45. Keegan Thompson, Zachary Fitzwater, and Riley Sampson are your 3 previous winners of the SRI Performance 400. Pace car makes its way down into the pit area. Marsh brings them down the stretch and through the race's restart zone. The green flag is out and away for race number 5 at the Rock. Saw a couple of cars getting a little loose off of turn number 2, which is going to be Calamity Corner all afternoon. As Campo Marsh leads them down the front straightaway and into turn number 1 and 2. For the first time under speed this afternoon, 3 wide off the corner in the back. That's Alex Sanvitale trying to get his first top 35 finish of the season. The man who finished last year 3rd in the point standings in that number 96. He's going to be on the outside looking to the inside early on in this contest. Daniel Bouchard below him, yesterday's GT Daytona winner. All the way up at the Papyrus Motorsports Park for the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship, Duncan New England Grand Prix. Single file throughout the top 5. There's Charlie Davenport. Somewhere back in here in the 98. There he is all the way in the back. 2021 winner of Keegan Thompson to the inside of the 98 as the outside lane, especially on the start, does not tend to work. Inside lane is the preferred line, and it's really the only line here. Single groove track, making for a lot of beating, banging, and a lot of contacts here for our second, technically, short track style race of the season here at Rockingham as Davenport continues to go the opposite direction. Zachary Fitzwater a little wide going through the corner of turn number 2. It's Owen Miles, the GTLM winner yesterday up at Papyrus for the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship race. As Campbell Marsh continues to show the way in the 31. He won the pole at Oregon a couple of weeks ago in his second pole in his 5th race. Trying to get that win, second win of the season for Dodge, as the Dodge ended up winning that race with Dano Georgi up at the Oregon International Speedway. And speaking of Georgi, he's all the way up to 5th right now. Tries to fight that 84 car for that 4th spot. He was 4th last time by. 3 wide in the back there. Everything's good, gravy, and groovy. Dano Georgi is starting to march to the front of this field. He's up to 4th. Logan Williams up to 3rd in the 17. Danny Fallington right now in the penultimate position in that 16, trying to make it 4 for 4 for the Chevrolets at the Rockingham Speedway. 3 Dodges and a Chevy make up your top 4, trying to get into that Dodge battle. Are two of the other two Titan Fury entries, 13 and the 71 of Mitchell Collins and Igor Barreto. Barreto piloting 13 on the outside lane, Collins to the inside, as the Dodges starting to make themselves really known in this race. And only a handful of them are in the field. They are the least tenured manufacturer, only having 3 teams on their payroll. American Motorsports, Titan Fury Racing, and Logan Sports. Only teams fielding Dodges, but they are dominating the early stages of this race. Scratch that, make it 4 teams. Carson Miller, a single car entry for O2 Motorsports. He's also in a Dodge, trying to make his way through this lap traffic deep in the back of this field. Starting at 41st and has made his way all the way up to 35th so far. As long as he stays on that inside lane, he should be good. First ever time he's raced at the Rockingham Speedway, finished 3rd in yesterday's race in the GT Daytona class. Check that officially in a brief moment as Ryan Durrani, who blew a motor yesterday up in Papyrus. Sometimes the English language is hard. I think we all know that, especially as a broadcaster doing a race at 10:15 at night. When we are recording this, I thought I saw somebody get a little squirrely on the back straightaway, but everybody is good to go right now. As for the race lead, like we always say, it's not a race on the North American Sim Racing Network without us missing for a pass for the race lead. Danny Fallington taking it away from Campbell Marsh in that 16 car. As Marsh stuck on the outside lane, he's going to fall back to 4th potentially, all the way to the Boondocks in the top 5. So he's fighting Dano Georgi on that outside lane. 2 Dodges going after him. spots, a little bit more diverse at the front of this field. A bow tie, a ram, and a blue oval. Right now completing the podium, and behind those 3 drivers to make up the top 6, it's all 3 of them sporting the Dodge Ram logos as we complete lap number 14 of the SRI Performance 400. And Zachary Fitzwater with an engine issue in the 99. And it's going to be another poor finish for Fitzy, who is angry at his team for that. It's all the way down low outside of the racing groove as the leaders will pass him on that inside lane. Fitzwater trying to trundle that Krispy Kreme car to the pit area. Safe to say that the donuts are done. Maybe got a little smoky flavor to those glazed Krispy Kreme donuts, as Fitzy done for the afternoon. He'll finish this race all the way in the 42nd spot. 41 cars remain on the racetrack. It was a header issue for Zachary Fitzwater to put him in the garage area as the last place finisher. So we're already approaching the end of stage number 1. Logan Williams thought about making a run around that 16 machine. He thought better of it, trying to save his stuff for later on in the run, especially if we hit that set of green flag pit stops right around the lap 40 to 45 mark. All these drivers on top of one another right now. 5 cars all in line. Then you got Mitchell Collins caboosing it for 6th. And then it's another 3-pack of cars headed by Keegan Thompson in that 14 machine. No Ellie Productions. Connor Hudson mentioned it in his sponsorship censorship video about almost a year ago at this point. But Viagra once again on the hood for that 14 machine at the Rockingham Speedway, and Keegan's having a rock solid run so far, right now running in 7th. So these guys go side by side up the front of this field. Going to the boondocks a little bit was Logan Williams, top 6 breaking away. Keegan Thompson looking to make it a 7th spot of cars fighting for this race lead, as we're 4 laps away, rather 6 laps away from the conclusion of stage number 1. Right now, the last car that will be getting stage points would be the 13 of Igor Barreto. We'll see if Charlie Davenport is able to snooker around either Barreto or Thomas Troxel to get in on those valuable stage points this early in the season. 5 to go until the end of stage number 1. Davenport to the inside of the 11. Back at the front of this field, Campo Marsh, pole sitter of this contest, goes underneath Alexander Rowe, your GT Daytona winner from Willow Springs about 3 weeks ago at this point. Rowe will fall back to 3rd in the 84. These guys running really, really slow around these corners. Again, everybody just trying to conserve as much rubber as possible. Way out of the groove goes the 45 of Skylar Taylor. She's trying to get back down on the inside. Same thing with the 96 of Alexandre Vitale, looking for his first top 35 run of the season. And that 96 was able to have his first finish last week at Vancouver after a really rough start for that 96 machine, who finished 3rd in the season point standings last year. So he tries to get back into the dance. Keegan Thompson now posted up on the outside. Bruno Diacomo in position to get some stage points at the end. Rogel Dorn doing a good job of backing up his dominant win last week with a solid top 10 run so far. Still a long ways to go in the SRI Performance 400, and back out of the race lead, Campo Marsh takes it away from 16 of Fallington. Fallington is going to fall back here to 3rd, maybe even 4th, as the proverbial white flag being waved in the air for Campo Marsh for the end of stage number 1. Diacomo right now in position to be the final driver to make it in on points. Marsh trying to get those 10 bonus points for winning stage number 1, and off of corner number 4, he will do it. Campo Marsh wins stage number 1 of the SRI Performance 400, and at the stripe, I think Giacomo just barely got it, and he did. As Keegan Thompson falls back in the 14, stage 1 has come to its conclusion. You'll see your results on your screen and how many points every driver will get. So Marsh back out front in this 31 car. The Athens, Georgia native will be happy that the Mission Barbecue Cup Series will be in his home state next weekend, the Peach State of Georgia. For the Folds of Honor Hooters 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Coverage for that race, March 22nd at noon Eastern, right here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Rockingham, about 200 miles north of Hampton, Georgia, where the Atlanta Motor Speedway is. And even though it is not the super speedway version of Atlanta with the 28 degrees of banking, this version with the speedway physics that I'm trying to remember who made, I believe the speedway physics that Alex Graham and Matt Tuck made a couple of years ago for the NOFSRL. Really doing a bang-up job on that version of Atlanta. And it usually comes down to a fuel mileage race, so we'll have to see if that'll be the case once again. We'll have to tweak it a little bit to make sure it doesn't come down to fuel mileage and just a complete crapshoot at the end like it did last year, where Tyler Reynolds started the race 42nd, shotgun the field, ended up taking home the checkered flag and the accompanying trophy for last year's Folds of Honor Hooters 500. As Alexander Rowe goes to the point, Logan Williams next to him, behind him rather. So already approached the midway point in today's SRI Performance 400. A little bit of a lull moment in this race so far, and know as soon as we do this, it's going to end up not being the case. But as we approach the midway point in today's contest, it's time for a Twisted 2 race break. So let's go through the field presented by Fram. Alexander Rowe leads the way in the 84 machine. He is first. Logan Williams is second. Campbell Marsh in third. Dano Georgi is fourth. Danny Fallington rounds out the top 5. 6th is Mitchell Collins. 7th, Rogel Dorn. 8th, Bruno Diacomo. 9th, Charlie Davenport. Top 10 caboosed by Igor Barreto. 11th is Eric Monaco. 12th, Alex Lozano. 13th, Riley Sampson. 14th, Braden Perez. Top 15 caboosed by Keegan Thompson. 16th is Cole Sampson. 17th, Logan Alexander. 18th, Reggie Fogelman. 19th is Juan Rodriguez. And the top 20 concluded by Dylan Matthews. Top half of the field capped off with Nathan Stapleton in 21st. 22nd is Angel Gutierrez. 23rd is Ryan Durrani. 24th, Michael Lewis. Top 25 caboosed by Owen Miles. 26th is Esteban Lasser. 27th, John Andrews. 28th, Toby Murphy. 29th is Corey Case. And the top 30 concluded by Caleb Rose. 31st is Daniel Bouchard. 32nd, Roberto Crown Jr. 33rd, Elijah Gordon. 34th is Matthew Hubert. 35th, Thomas Troxel. 36th, Brennan Wilmington. 37th, Skylar Taylor. 38th, your points leader, Carson Miller. 39th is Alexander Patale. And 40th is Bradley Ream. The last car on the track is Matt Wolf in 41st. And that will do it for your Through the Field presented by Fram. Fastest lap right now belonging to Danny Fallington. The 23.788 second time around the Rockingham Speedway. That one presented by Tag Heuer. And nobody has had the Valvoline fastest pit stop of the day just yet. Have to see who will post the fastest pit time of the afternoon. Here in the service area in about 10 laps or so is when this window is officially going to open up. A lot of solid racing in the back end of this field so far, and what has been a caution-free SRI Performance 400 so far. Typically see a lot of action on the start. Typically see an issue with somebody on the first lap, but these guys playing very conservative so far in this race. Has been a whole lot of beating and banging like we're typically used to seeing at Rockingham as Dano Georgi goes to second. Campbell Marsh trying to go with him as a gaggle of dodges. Right now all racing for second. Wouldn't be surprised if they start to link up together, trying to gang up on this blue oval Ford of Alexander Rowe, who is right now putting BTA to the rest of the field. Nearly a 1 second lead over Dano Georgi as Georgi tries to surge to the front. Matt Wolf and Georgi sandwiching the top 39 cars in this race. Only one car is out of the contest so far. Zachary Fitzwater with a mechanical issue all the way back on lap number 5. 41 cars remaining on the racetrack. Good lap for Rowe that last time by. A $1.25 over Georgi. He starts to set sail in the clean air, looking for his first win in a Cup car. Like we mentioned earlier, he won in a Grand Touring car 3 weeks ago on the up and down hills of Willow Springs. Part of that doubleheader weekend, one for the GT Daytona class. That 88 Better Call Saul Dodge Viper brought the Dodgers to victory lane, but he's got a lot of Dodges behind him that are going to want to take this race victory away. The halfway point will be this time by and also mark 10 laps to go in stage number 2. Cross flags displayed from the flag stand halfway home for Alexander Rowe in that Lynch number 84. Typically on these short tracks like we saw last week, going into the pit area and drivers exiting the pit area is going to be an art form that these guys need to master. But we tend to see issues coming on and off of the pit lane, and right as the thing came out, as the caution flag is indeed out, somebody has gone around. It's Igor Barreto in the 13. More cars going around. That's Lasser in the 45. Lasser up on 2 wheels. Carson Miller shovel nose in that FYE number 8 machine. And right on cue, the caution flag comes out at the worst possible time for the leaders. It's either the worst possible time or the best possible time. A lot of these guys came down the pit lane with the caution displayed, and we're going to have to see how this all jumbles things up. And right in the middle of us saying it, getting on and off of the pit lane is an art form at Rockingham, for better or for worse. And now Logan Williams gets into the back of Dano Georgi, who overshot his pit stall. That's the top 2 drivers in this race making some contact, and they're going to have to repair their cars. It's a lot of hood damage for Logan Williams, and it doesn't look like the Wisconsinite is going to be able to have a shot at the end of this race. Georgi is out of the pit area. A lot of repairs needing to be made for that 17. He is able to get out and away. And right now, Dylan Matthews, Michael Lewis, and Nathan Stapleton staying out as the rest of the field will transition onto the track. See the hood damage on the front end of this 17 machine. We'll see if the 84 and everybody that came down with Alexander Rowe, no, they are actually going to be the race leaders, and everybody else is going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. So that actually worked out right in the favor for Alexander Rowe. Everybody came down, then the caution came out, so they advanced everybody by a lap. And the top 4 drivers on the pylon will be the top 4 drivers that come down that will lead this field back to the green flag as we're past the halfway point in the SRI Performance 400. We're under the yellow flag for the first time this afternoon. Skylar Taylor and Igor Barreto getting into it in turns 3 and 4. Let's see what happened to bring out the caution for the first time today in the SRI Performance 400. This was the battle for 15th between Igor Barreto and Braden Perez, and A simple case of not clear for Igor Barreto as he makes significant contact with the 92 of Braden Perez. Perez dumps him into the outside wall right in front of Logan Alexander. Alexander is going to get a pretty significant piece of damage there from that 13 machine. You see that passenger side caved in a little bit. And with 22 degrees of banking in turns 3 and 4, going all the way down the racetrack is Igor Barreto down the banking, trying to lock it down, and this is right in front of Esteban Lacer, who gets turned by Roberto Crown Jr., and this is pretty much your classic accordion effect back in here. Carson Miller gets into the 13, same thing with the 2. Broadside to the rest of the field of the 64 and the 45, and Carson Miller gets the worst of it in that 8 machine. He went behind the wall, and I think he's going to be the only retiree from this accident. Who just barely missing that was Alex Sanvitale, who is hopefully and likely to get a top 35 finish for the first time this season. Still plenty of time to go in this race. You see that 64 up on his side on the banking in a little bit of a mini junkyard in turn number 4 to put us under the caution flag for the first time today. We'll get another look at this accident, and then we'll get you back to the restart after caution number 1 has been cleaned up in the SRI Performance 400. Real-time replay with the 13 of Igor Barreto. He gets turned into the outside wall, back up through traffic, down into traffic he goes, and well, suffice it to say, Carson Miller not able to get on the brakes in time, and Esteban Lacer beached a little bit there on the 64. He had to get a tow back to the pit area, so he will be at least 1 lap down. Alexander Rowe came in at the perfect time. We said it was either going to be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. Turned out to be the best thing ever for Alexander Rowe, as he'll lead the field back to the green flag as we clean up caution number 1 and conclude on the cleanup here in the SRI Performance 400 at the Rock. We're back at the Rockingham Speedway, cleaning up caution number 1 of the afternoon. Like we said, Carson Miller was the only retiree from that accident. 38 cars are on the lead lap. 40 of them are on the racetrack in total, and a couple of cars are on the tail end of the lead lap here, trying to get their lap back with a quickie yellow. 5 laps to go in stage number 2. Rowe, Collins, Marsh, Giacomo, and Georgi. Your top 5 as the green flag is back out in the air. Again, these guys split this race in half with their pit strategy. Everybody electing to come down on laps 41 and 42. As Rowe trying to get a couple of car shields in front of him and trying to get a couple of picks between himself, the 71 or the 34 of Collins or Georgi. A good run off the corner there for Collins. Can he shut the door on Georgi on the inside? He cannot just yet. I want to shout out Cole Sampson in that 5 machine. A 15-17 second lap. That is your Valvoline fastest pit stop of the afternoon so far, and 4 wide for the race lead. Here comes Georgi forcing the issue. 3 wide as the leaders go around off the corner number 4. Rowe gets turned around. Huge hit for the 92. Same thing for Toby Murphy. A massive stack up on the front straightaway. Yellow flag on the speedway. It's the big one on the front stretch. Murphy with a hellacious hit. Saw Matthew Huber involved. Same thing for the 96 of Sanvitale again. The 32 caught a piece as the leaders went broadside to the rest of the field, and a big crash puts us under the caution flag, and Cole Sampson is back down the pit lane. Wow. I don't think I've seen anybody drive as aggressive as I just saw Dano Georgi drive. He made it 4 wide underneath a lap car and Bruno Giacomo, who was on the inside. A cowboy move that puts Georgi in the garage area, and Goodness gracious, great balls of fire is all I can say. That's racing right there. And that might be the thumbnail for this video. 4 wide. Worked until it didn't. As Bruno Giacomo, next time by, will likely be the winner of stage number 2. We'll post them as soon as we see, but a lot of hard hits for a lot of guys. Matt Wolff was caught up, so both American Motorsports cars were involved. Sam Vitale is back onto the racetrack for now. We saw the 32. He doesn't have a hood for Caleb Rose. Same thing for Juan Rodriguez. He's got that entire driver's side caved in on that HTO number 48. Toby Murphy also caught a piece. Same thing for the 92 of Braden Perez, who has brought it behind the wall. Well, this is going to be a fun replay to look at. It's the top 10 pretty much solidified for stage number 2. Bruno Giacomo leads the way. 3 rookies at the front of this field as of right now. Let's go ahead and see what happened to put us under the second caution of the afternoon. Big time crash on a big time rush play from Dano Giorgi. That worked until it didn't. Put him and a lot of other cars in the garage area. So this accident started all the way back in turn number 3. You're going to watch the 84 of Rowe going into the third corner, completely overdrives it. He's going to slide up in the 97 of Stapleton, makes contact with him. That leaves a lot of real estate down low, and Dano Giorgi channeling his inner Ayrton Senna, going for the gap with gusto, charging that 34 down on the low side. Bruno Giacomo makes it 4 wide. And that's a thing of beauty, except that it bottlenecks up to 3 lanes. And I think Skylar Taylor going in the pit lane checked these guys up a lot as well. Giorgi slides up into the 84, into the 97, and then everybody just runs out of real estate and turns all these cars around. Campbell Marsh got a piece of the 84, but he looks good to the go. Cole Sampson runs right in the back of the 84. That's why Sampson had to come back down the pit lane. Caution flag is displayed, but watch this hit there from the 92. A gut punch right to the jaw of that 34, and a hellacious broadside hit from Toby Murphy in the 84. That goes into Matthew Hubert. You see the debris flying all the way up into the catch fence and coming back down. And it's essentially a roadblock from here on out. Roberto Crown Jr. caught a piece. Same thing for Matt Wolff. Corey Case. You see the 32 of Caleb Rose also got into it. Same thing with Bradley Ream, Alex San Vitale, Juan Rodriguez. Both Agai's cars got into that whole foray. Same thing with Thomas Troxel in the 00. Well, not a whole, like we said, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide at the Rock, and an accident in a place like this, you really just got a Days of Thunder in, and unfortunately, it's going to end the road for a lot of these guys. Toby Murphy was not having the best of runs. He'll go to the garage area. A lot of cars involved in this accident. The big one here on lap number 48 of the SRI Performance 400. All started with driver going for an aggressive move to get some real estate, and unfortunately running out of real estate in the end. We're going to follow along with Dano Giorgi in this entire sequence. Starts with the 84 over drive in the corner. Makes it a 4 wide battle. And up into the outside wall goes Stapleton. The 2 leaders crash. And it's on from there. Big roadblock for the rest of this field. Matt Wolff getting turned around, goes into the 23 of Matthew Hubert. The big one puts us under the caution flag for the second time today. Dano Giorgi going from a hero to a 0. 0.2 of a second flat. He'll go to the garage area in the number 34, and take out another 3 or 4 cars with him in the process. Bruno Giacomo went by that entire battle without any struggle. He will be not only your Stage 2 winner, but he will be your leader as they go back through the gears in just a couple of moments. So let's go ahead and restart this field with 30 laps to go here in the SRI Performance 400. We're back at the Rock, cleaning up caution number 2. 35 cars remain on the racetrack. Alexander Rowe, Matthew Hubert, Toby Murphy, Dano Georgi, Braden Perez. The 5 cars knocked out from that accident. Gonna get this race restarted on lap number 52 of 80. Stage 2 results posted on your screen. Pace car makes way down the pit lane. And here we go. Diacomo's a control car, leads the field back to the race's restart zone. 29 laps to go in the SRI Performance 400. Couple of cars a lap down. Nathan Stapleton trying to get his lap back and hoping for a quickie yellow back in here. Diacomo looking for his first win for the Aussie. Australia right now bookending this field. Zachary Fitzwater had a mechanical failure. Diacomo trying to get the win in his 5th ever start. Same thing for Campbell Marsh. Those two run 1-2. Down on the low side, here comes Alex Lozano in that 11 machine. He'll go to second real quick. Diacomo pinned on that outside lane for right now. Lozano's going to have an opportunity. Same thing with Danny Fallington. Those two getting organized and pushing each other past Skylar Taylor. And here they come on to Diacomo. Bruno trying to look for an edge to the inside, but he's not going to get it. Alex Lozano shoots to the point in the 11. And down behind him, that's his teammate of Thomas Troxel around. Troxel around in the 00, and the yellow flag flies. Third caution of the afternoon, as one Broke Boys Garage car went to the race lead. You had to sacrifice the other one. And it's the owner of that 11 who got turned off of turn number 2. And he'll bring out the 3rd yellow flag on the speedway on lap number 55. Whole field coming to a halt, as we'll get a late race restart. Everybody gets back uniform and organized. Alex Lozano led them back. No better time to grab the race lead than that moment right there for the 11. But at what cost is the $1 million question. And we got a big stack up back in here. Have to take a look at that after the fact. Dylan Matthews got turned in the 75. Not sure what happened. I think a couple more cars were trying to come down in the pit area as Ryan Durrani out and away in the 86. Third caution flag of the afternoon, Alex Lozano leading his first laps of the day. Take a look and see what happened to his teammate and team owner. We're approaching the late stages of the SRI Performance 400 at the Rockingham Speedway. Just replaying this once in real time, cut and dry incident. Troxel gets turned to the inside by Roberto Crown Jr. Hard licking at that inside wall, but he's able to drive away from the scene. But it did put us under our 3rd yellow flag of the afternoon. And we're going to see if these guys came down the pit lane. I don't think they came down the pit lane this time by. There's a big stack up in here. I'm trying to see. The pit area is open this time. Trying to focus with the 75 of Dylan Matthews, who's with the 21. Durrani's trying to come in. I don't know if Dylan Matthews was trying to come out, but she gets turned by Bradley Ream, damaging the suspension just a little bit there, and fortunately, nobody else ran into one another. That was very close between the 90 and the 7. But Andrews is able to drive away from the scene. And that will indeed do it. A quickie yellow for the 3rd time this afternoon. Alex Lozano leads the way. We'll get everybody back to the restarts. Here as we clean up caution number 3 of today's race at the Rock. It'll be 12 laps to go when Alex Lozano leads the field back through the Reese's restart zone as we clean up caution number 3 of the afternoon of the SRI Performance 400. 35 cars are still on the racetrack. 33 of them are on the lead lap. Alex Lozano took the lead right as the caution flag came out for the third time this afternoon. Pace car back down the pit area. Lozano, Fallington, Marsh, Diacomo, and Logan Williams, your top 5 as they go back through the gears here at the Rockingham Speedway. Good jump for the lap down cars on the inside lane. We'll see who likes to go with them. It's Campbell Marsh trying to go down low. Up high up the racetrack went Lozano. He's going to quickly lose the race lead as quickly as he got it. Marsh back out front, using the 63 as a little bit of a shield. Corey Case is hoping the caution comes back out very soon. He is a lap down. A lot of rear end damage behind him. And look who's creeping up with 20 laps to go this time by. Rather, it was 22 laps to go, not 12 laps to go. But irregardlessly, Keegan Thompson, first ever winner of this race all the way back in 2022, popping his way through this field. 20 laps to go in the SRI Performance 400. Look who's running in fourth. Owen Miles hasn't won a race in the MBCS since Indianapolis in 2021. Miles looking to get his first win in over 100 races and sweep the weekend for the GTLM winner yesterday, finishing that race a car length and a half ahead of John Andrews. After Papyrus Motorsports Park, Elijah Gordon in the top 10 for the first time today as well. He is trying to make his way up to 5th. For the race lead, Thompson underneath of the 31 of March. It's the veteran making a textbook pass over the rookie. And like we said right at the top of the show, these veterans come to play right at the end. And it's 2 veterans right now in the podium. Marsh in a veteran sandwich with Owen Miles knocking on his back door. Riley Sampson caboosing this top 5. The defending champion of this race at Rockingham, trying to get into the dance as well. Zachary Fitzwater, the meet between those 2 Appleseed winners, is in the garage area early on in this race. But Keegan Thompson out front in the 14, 3 wide behind them for the only Pacific Racing car still in this race. Brennan Wilmington back in there, trying to get the penultimate spot is Owen Miles. Marsh has got it at the line just barely. And here comes Miles, a push from Bruno Diacomo. Running that outside lane was Riley Sampson. Couldn't quite get there in time. And here comes Elijah Gordon. Down on the low side, a little push from the 63. Logan Williams makes it 3 wide as Charlie Davenport up back inside the top 10 after starting in second and falling all the way down to 30th at one point. That 98 car coming alive in the late stages of this race. Keegan Thompson trying to check out of Dodge as Campbell Marsh nearly got turned by the 05. That would have been close, as Marsh knows he just dodged a bullet there as he nearly got turned off of 2. That'll open the door for Elijah Gordon to go to 3rd in the 47. The Dodges dominated this race, but only 1 Dodge so far in this top 10. Make it 2 Dodges if we add the 17 of Logan Williams. And look at Daniel Bouchard, your winner from yesterday for GT Daytona, making his way towards this top 10, the 07. Might be a little too late to get the win, but looking for a nice top 10 run would be the Ottawa and Ontario. Marsh is now trying to grab his gear back. He is 2/3 of a second behind Keegan Thompson. He is likely going to need a yellow flag if he wants to catch up. Remember, all these guys came down at lap 41, so they are good to the go in terms of fuel. Marsh that time by, lost 0.2 of a second. He's going to surrender second to the 47 of Elijah Gordon. Like we said, the veteran starting to come alive with 11 to go this time by. Gordon out in second, a pair of rookies fighting with Owen Miles to stay inside the top 5. Miles trying to go after, and that Celsius Tropical Vibe number 054. Trying to get forward, their second win of the season. Same thing from the two Toyotas up at the front. It'll be 10 laps to go for Keegan Thompson, this time by. And a little bit of history on the line here. If Keegan Thompson is able to come around the next 9.5 laps and get this checkered flag, that would put the Riley, Alberta native in sole possession as the all-time winningest driver on the North American Sim Racing Network, with his 8th career win in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series and his 8th win on the channel. Trying to spoil that party is Elijah Gordon, but he is falling way back in that Schluter Systems 47. Coming down the pit lane is Igor Barreto. Tough break for the 13 machine after he ran inside the top 10 for the majority of today. In case you were just tuning in, you've missed a lot in this race. Keegan Thompson up at the front of this field in this 14. Started this race relatively deep in the field. Trying to see where Keegan started this contest. 17th. So not terrible for Keegan. Did start on the inside lane. And he is clicking down lap times like there is no tomorrow. Gaining a little bit that time by was Elijah Gordon. But he is going to need to gain a lot more time if he wants to catch up to the 14 of Keegan Thompson. Roberto Crown Jr. has the fastest lap of this race so far. Fastest pit stop still belongs to the 5 of Cole Sampson. So Appleseed Racing right now in the race lead and has the fastest pit time of the afternoon, a 15-17 second stop for that 5 machine who sits deep in this field. A couple of stragglers coming down the pit lane. That was Matt Wolf who came off. And this is going to be tight for Matt Wolf as it looks like he's doing touch and goes in the 38 in the late stages, and that is something to keep an eye on with 5 laps to go. That was a little dangerous as he went back up into traffic. We'll have to see if that brings a late race caution. Alexandre Vitale, the way the things stand right now, he's got to fight Thomas Troxel to get his first top 30th finish of the season. As Matt Wolf is back onto the pit lane. 4 laps to go for Keegan Thompson. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. Keegan Thompson driving a Viagra car at the Rock, and it's been a rock-steady performance for this 14 machine. Looking for his 2nd win at Rockingham, an 8th win overall. 3 laps to go in the SRI Performance 400. A big swing in favor of Elijah Gordon as he looks to take one final swing in this 14 car. Matt Wolf is back out onto the racetrack. He is a non-factor so far. Sticks high, 2 laps to go for Keegan Thompson. That time around, cutting in another 15th of a second was Elijah Gordon. He's going to need a titanic next couple of corners if he wants to get back into the dance, as nearly getting hooked around was John Andrews. Gordon is going to need to run a perfect next set of corners, but white flag is in the air one more time around the Rockingham Speedway for Keegan Thompson. It's down now to under 3/4 of a second for Gordon, but I think it's going to be a little too late. One final chance for Gordon. He's too far back, rolling through turns 3 and 4. The all-time winningest driver on the North American Sim Racing Network, Riley, Alberta's Keegan Thompson, gets his 8th career win at the Rockingham Speedway. Biggest win of his career, rock-steady performance there once again for the Viagra car. Everybody in the pit lane and the grandstands very, very excited as Keegan Thompson makes history, his 8th win in the Mission BBQ Cup Series, and his 8th career win on the North American Sim Racing Network puts him in a class of his own. Elijah Gordon tried to spoil the party. Credit to him, he saved his stuff till the end of this race. Came within 0.6 of a second to the 14 machine, but it's not going to matter. Keegan Thompson gets the job done with gusto for Appleseed Racing, and it's another Chevrolet win at the Rockingham Speedway after Dodge dominated the first half of this race. Then we're decimated with a big one on lap number 45. Keegan Thompson coming in to lead the last 17 laps. Took the race lead away from Campbell Marsh and did not look back. Was Riley Alberta's Keegan Thompson. Taking a look at your official standings. Thompson, Elijah Gordon, Bruno Diacomo round out your podium. That's Diacomo's career best finish in the 79. Owen Miles gets a 4th place run. Good backup finish, or a good finish backing up yesterday's win in GTLM. And Riley Sampson gets a top 5 run, the site of his last win in the Mission BBQ Cup Series so far. John Andrews, Logan Williams, Campbell Marsh, Reggie Fogelman came into the fray at the end there, and Danny Fallington to round out your top 10. Taking a look at everybody knocked out of this race, 29 cars finished on the lead lap. Bouchard and Charlie Davenport, I think, ran out of fuel at the end, so that is the first top 30 finish of the season for Alex Sanvitale. He's getting a lot more than 7 points in this race. And 35 cars finished the race in general. Everybody from Alexander Rowe on down having issues all the way down to Zachary Fitzwater in the 99 with a mechanical failure. But that is gonna do it here from the Rockingham Speedway. Congratulations once again to Keegan Thompson for winning the SRI Performance 400. And we'll see you next week down in Hotlanta. Coverage of the Folds of Honor Hooters 500 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway starts at noon Eastern next Saturday, March 22nd, right here exclusively on the ASRN. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's coverage of the Mission BBQ Cup Series. Here are your point standings after Race 5 of the 2025 MBCS season. And from Rockingham, North Carolina, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks. We'll see you next week at the track.